weekend there was a meeting at Hippo Books at the bookstore, and we had a conversation with a teacher from Puerto Rico who was talking about the parallels, between the budget crises there and the budget crisis in Rochester, and how communities build power to try to push back against austerity, against budget cuts, and so forth. And it actually developed into a really phenomenal conversation among community, teachers, parents, and students who were in the room there. And we really had something that to me is like potentially groundbreaking here, where we have teachers who are organizing themselves to fight this battle and to really push for what's needed in terms of improving our schools and stabilizing the budget crisis and really pushing forward. Organizing themselves, and there was a big teacher meeting that many of you may have been a part of. And that was just such an amazing invitation. And of course, I personally can't speak for Rochester City School District parents as a whole. And we don't have like a district-wide large parent union or organization that can speak for parents as a whole. So, but we can't leave that invitation unanswered, right? So that's the purpose of this meeting, is to get together and try to bring as many parents as we can to kind of answer that question. What would reciprocity look like working with teachers? What would it look like to build power together? And so that's the really singular purpose of coming together today, is to start that conversation and that brainstorming. I'm going to get out of the way. We do have facilitators, which is amazing. We really appreciate the volunteerism of our facilitators. They'll introduce themselves. But we do want to address, is anyone else comfortable with filming, photographing, live streaming? If anyone is, please, and if you're not comfortable like raising your hand right now, please talk to me in the back if you don't want to be included in live streaming or photography. But it is great because there's a lot of people who want to hear the conversation who can't be here, and maybe even participate if we can get a live stream going. I'm out of the way.
So hi everyone, I'm Ashley.
And I'm Ann.
I'm the organizer at the NYCLU here in Rochester, and we were asked to facilitate. So thank you for having me, and hopefully we build together and then walk away feeling like we came to some I don't want to say conclusions, but we have some very clear asks.
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Iman. I'm the regional director here for the ACLU New York. Very glad to be working with Ashley. Also glad to be here as kind of I think Ashley and I today will serve as neutral voices just to kind of get us along in the conversation, to make sure that we meet the demands of what this conversation is about, so that this time is used effectively. And if we kind of cut off or try to steer away from maybe tangents or anything of that sort, will get us back on track, so that way again we can be efficient today in the 2 hours or less than that we have at the moment, because the kids actually will be meeting here afterwards. But we'll start off with conversation guidelines with Ash.
Sure. Can you just clarify your acronym that you're using?
Oh, New York Civil
I'm
Liberties
so sorry.
Union. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We closed
They're
it.
here saying don't use acronyms. Thank you.
Can I say one more housekeeping thing too?
Yeah.
So Sarah is here, and there may be a couple of other of our student leaders. And we said that like younger kids are welcome. This is a family-friendly space, so I mean we'll just let people flow with it. But Sarah's a resource and can help out with your kids.
So just before we start, we came up with a couple of conversation guidelines, and if you guys have anything to add to this list, please feel free to say it. We couldn't think of everything, so just raise your hand if you want to add something. So first we have step up, step back. So that means if you're talking a lot, please step back and let someone who maybe is not speaking. If you're not speaking at all, please feel free to have some courage and come into the conversation. And then we have parking lot. So a lot of times in groups this size, the conversation can be derailed and we can be talking about things that maybe we don't have enough time to really build into. So we like to say just put it in the parking lot and we'll come back to it after, or we can have like a private conversation on the side at the end. And then we have no ABCs, clearly what we just did, using acronyms and trying to really get away from that so that people know what you're talking about and really say what it means. And believe best intentions. So like really digging into like when someone speaks, really hoping that the people in this room are speaking with the best intentions, even if it doesn't come across, but really giving folks that grace card to say, I know that maybe didn't land well, but we want to really trust that they have the best intentions. and then one mic. So of course, one person talking at a time, et cetera, et cetera. And if anyone has anything to add, I'm sure we didn't right or wrong, feel free. No? Great. So I guess we can start the brainstorming process.
Yeah, so this is kind of like a free-for-all. It's gonna sound a little vague when we first begin asking you guys these questions, but hopefully we'll get into more of the specifics as more of the demands and the agreements kind of come up. But one of the first questions we'll ask today is, what should building power with teachers look like? So I'll keep it as vague as that and allow anyone to answer. It's kind of where we'll start.
It might be helpful to know if we have any PTO, PTC, PTA people here in the room. Parent-teacher crew, parent-teacher organization, parent-teacher association representatives. 1, 2, 3.
How about face?
How about behind you?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Face. East High.
Face. What is that?
East High. Parents. It's a
Face.
parent.
Face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that part of
Okay.
Hi, I'm Mary Callahan. My son goes to 58. Just like some system of communication, a consistent system of communication.
When this first started, our PTA tried to go up to the state level to see if there was anything going on at that level to sort of branch down and cover this area. We didn't get much leverage there from that, and it kind of left us all kind of floundering here. So we did try to reach out to other PTAs, but it was so quick, it was hard to get that communication going like within 2 days is what we really needed. I want to just say the communication really needs to be a bigger piece of this so that all of these parents and all the parent groups that exist can come together quickly to address these issues when they arise. Oh, sorry, Dan Curran, School 12, and I've got 2 younger ones at 12 school.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how to say this, but so I'm a parent at 58. I'm Kirsten, but I work at Douglas campus, and so right now, to me, that power with teachers and families looks really different based on what school we are at, right? So where it's more educated, and I say educated in quotes, but right, like highly educated parents and a culture that at the school, there's a lot of reciprocal, like honest conversations around sharing power. But at other schools, in my experience, it's not. So I don't know what exactly that looks like, but that's something that I would like to put out there. Because right now it's building specific, I think, and it's kind of spotty.
So maybe clarity around how shared power is defined
In every school?
in every school?
Sure.
But maybe creating a model. More of a, like more of a creating a model type of what it should look like at every school. By,
Partly a model and partly people that know how to do it and how, like it requires, like in a lot of schools there have to be very real conversations about race, right? And racism. Not every school is equipped to do that yet, well. So I don't know, I just threw a lot in there. But that's, moving between different worlds at different schools, that's really tough. Can I ask a question? So you said like at Douglas, the highly educated parents and the staff have that honest relationship? Well, I'm confused, can you say it one more time? I'm saying that at schools where the majority of parents, or there's a larger group of parents who are at all these meetings and in all these conversations, I think the conversations and the actual power sharing look different than at schools where the majority of parents don't, or where there isn't a critical mass yet. So I think some schools we need help in building that.
So what I'm hearing you say is that, like, so I'm from 58, so I see a lot of 58 faces. So parents at 58, we can maybe go to Douglas or go to whatever other school where there's not
I want to do that.
parent
Right, I want to do that.
group, and then we can help
I wanna do that.
facilitate that?
We
Like,
need
is that kind
to
of?
reach out to parents.
I don't know what the solution is yet. I'm just in the brainstorming mode of something that I think, and it can't be done to schools, right? Every school has to do it. Like that culture is really important at a school. And I'm not, I want to be clear, since we're videoing, I'm not singling out Douglas as not, as, you know. I just, that's my experience working across a lot of different schools, is that honest power sharing and the ability to have some of the really difficult conversations that come up against, you know, contract rights and kids' rights and things like that. Like that is unequal, and it exists in some places and it doesn't exist in others. So.
Can I just say, so, conversations versus or like engagement versus awareness are two distinct things. So there can be a lot of parents at Douglas who are very aware of like the problems of contracts coming up against the wall or other issues, many other issues. But engaging and having that, you know, faith in the legitimate place to engage may vary as opposed to awareness or knowledge.
You had your hand.
Yeah, I just had a frustration as a parent that might sort of add some clarity to that. Maybe, I don't know if it's what you're thinking at all, but I love our teachers. They're amazing. I support them. Through watching the testimony at the board meetings, it sometimes feels like there's this sense that they know what's best for our kids, and they definitely, there needs to be a collaborative, but I sometimes feel as a parent that there's like an understepping from, or like an overstepping, especially with parents that aren't able to be at meetings, and when racism may be involved, that teachers know what's better for their students than parents may know. I don't know if that makes sense. And that's sort of a frustration that I have felt for myself, but also for fellow parents that may add a little bit to that. I don't know if that's but just more of a respect on their end that as parents, we have a valid voice that's separate from the teacher's voice and what's best for our kids. I don't know. Maybe that's not at all.
What is your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Jessica Gustafson. I'm at School 15.
My name is Emily Zay. I'm a parent at School 52 in Soda, and I work at School 52 right now. And this kind of goes along with what you're saying. Ultimately for me coming here, one of my biggest goals is I think we need a much stronger bridge between parents and teachers and how to move forward. I feel like right now we're very separate. And I think teachers are really wondering where parents stand and how we want to move forward. And parents are really wondering where teachers stand and don't want to pressure teachers to move forward in a way that they don't feel is appropriate. And I really hope that we can become more of a cohesive unit and, work together.
I'm Kristen Schmidt, and my boys attend 58, and I'm a teacher at 28, and I live in the city, so triple threats, yay. I have a question about someone early on mentioned parent union. Is that a thing? Okay, so let's start one.
That was the point of this meeting, in case you were wondering. That's what I was focused on, all right? That's why I wanted everybody to come here, because we need to be some sort of union. We need to be some sort of something, and the only way we can do it is to get us all in one room, right? And also, not to hijack your meeting, but focus on everybody's strengths to what point, to what the group is, right? Because I know you don't want me to keep representing the group, apparently, right? And I could be the stronger email parent, right? That we need email parents. We need parents that are ready to fire off the emails, because I don't really have time during the day to fire off the emails. There's something for everybody to do. That's what the point of this meeting is for me, is there's nothing too small for us to do, because it's all part of the big fight, right? This is a fight. We can't just let people go, gone is the time to go to work and everybody have their things best interests in mind. A lot of them do, but the majority don't. So, as parents, we have to educate ourselves. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm being completely honest, right? I called you guys here to form a union for some shit that I don't even have a name for it yet, or idea for it. I'm being completely honest and raw about this. I'm mad, and I need your help. I can't fight by myself. I don't necessarily know exactly what I'm doing. I know a lot of you know a lot better than I do and have been fighting for a lot longer. So this is why I've called you here. To join me in the fight, right? And to bring your strength to the fight. I'm bringing mine, please bring yours, and that's what this is about. We are in a have a great opportunity for teachers to want to work with us and support us, and they want to know what that looks like. They want to know what we're looking for them, and we need to know what they're looking for us. So that's what this is about. That's what it's about for us. That's where I came here.
So for me, in terms of like what it would look like to build power with teachers, it would be, acknowledging that 10% of our kids are white and the majority are non-white, and professional development around anti-racism would be something that we butt heads with in the past. We, like parents organizing for improvement in the schools. So explicit willingness to talk about anti-racism, professional development, maybe even using the M word, mandatory, which has been, really, I can't tell you how many hours of conversation about how do you introduce, because mandating something can be problematic, and it comes up always as a key problem in driving improvement in Rochester City School District. So addressing racism would be one thing. And then another thing, I agree with the communication. That's always a top issue. And in addition, so under the anti-racism thing, there's many different strains. So really making sure that everyone is aware of the work that we've done with Dr. Joy DeGroot, which was deep, and we put a lot of investment as a district in it. And so revisiting that and making sure that everyone is knowledgeable and fluent in that work, in that framework, which now is Victorious Minds Academy. It's a pilot in the schools, but this is also under our engagement. And then, there's many other strains. There's around curriculum and pedagogy and historically accurate curriculum. All of that has to be a priority in this district. And then the last thing I'll say is, and this is not for me to say what it would look like, but acknowledging that non-white educators, bilingual educators, educators from different backgrounds should be supported by all of us, especially including their white colleagues, to do whatever it looks like for them to survive and thrive in the Rochester City School District, to not be forced to leave or to be under so much stress that it's difficult. So whatever we can do to help them thrive and survive, I think is important.
Hi, good morning everybody. How's everybody doing? I'm Tyra Lespier. I have a special needs student in 16. He's a third grader, and I'm also the president of the Special Education Parent Advisory Council, and I'm curious. I get that you want to look for a parent union, but I'm curious, one of the biggest things in Rochester is that you got a whole bunch of pockets of people, a whole bunch of little groups. Why can't we mobilize and unify that? Why do we have to create another group? And out of curiosity, there's parent groups already in the district. So why can't we take, a whole bunch of new faces? I've never seen a lot of you before. So is there a reason why parents haven't worked with the current parent groups that are a part of the district now, like the Parent Advisory Council? Is there concern? Is there I'm curious to find that out, because I feel like if we mobilize and become a unified front, we'll have that much more of an impact versus little pockets of groups going forward in front of the district to try to resolve the issues that we have now. I'm just curious though.
One of the end things of this is announcing another, right? Addressing that kind of thing. This is more or less to brainstorm, looking at how it has to build with teachers, not being a voice from any particular organization.
Okay. And with the parent advisory group, because I'm an employee also of the district, they won't let me on there.
Right.
That's true. So I'm stuck between, I don't have a voice here and I don't have a voice there. But yet I have a child at East. And I work with autistic kids at the RISE. And I'm a future teacher. So I have all this stuff and I can't say anything. I feel like I'm just in a bubble by myself.
Yeah. And I have special needs kids too, and I can't go to the meetings.
No, I understand.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
So that may be some of it. We can talk some more about it.
Yeah.
That could be some of it. This could be a place where everybody, that's how we got here.
So, my name is Ricardo. 2 days ago, prior to 2 days ago, I was just a parent in the district. The last 10 years. And what I'd like to see parents and teachers, I used to be volunteer every day. I work overnight, so I can go in there. Teachers need to acknowledge that me and you are the experts when it comes to these kids. As a parent, we are the professional. If the teacher can be humble and acknowledge that and be honest with you. And what I mean by honest, I'm speaking for other parents. Don't be talking about, oh, Johnny is doing great, blah, blah, blah. Then at the end of the year, the grades ain't like that. He's not reading well or nothing, but yet you was describing all this kumbaya stuff, so you're not being honest. You need to be honest, not be afraid of me. It's for my child. Sometimes you describe my child and I don't even know who you're talking about. This little sweet, that ain't my child. That's not my child. And so it's an honest, straightforward, fearless relationship. That's what the parents and the teachers need. That's what I've seen during my time in the building.
Hi, my name is Matthew Nikoloff. I'm a parent of some students at GCCS. My wife teaches at 58, and I'm also part of the ROC-FIST Religious Leaders Caucus. Something I'd love to see is already what's happening, is having facilitators and maybe even people who have some who can teach us how to organize better ourselves. One of the frustrating things about hearing 92 different speeches, even though it's beautiful to hear kids getting up there and exercising the democratic process, is there's like 92 different demands being made, which is great, like voices matter, but what if there was like one demand that 92 voices made and just like stabbed that home like a, you know? And I think part of that for me is met with the school board members, met with some other folks, trying to communicate to over 60 different religious leaders and communities, like the information is hard to manage. So it's like, is it really the school board's fault? Is it, some people blame like Assemblyman Gant, some people blame Bronson, some people blame Cuomo, some people blame the city council, right? And it's like, can we have a better, more focused and reliable source of information that we can then respond to as parents? Can the parents also push back against bad information? Are the people who are better at that than like some of us are at gathering and doing some of that investigative work? So that way we know where to target, and then we can hit the target really hard and get an achievable result, right? So I mean that's what organizers do, but I just want to affirm and really celebrate that because it's hard to tell all these different folks who are really good, they have good intentions, they want to get involved, parents want to get involved, who aren't necessarily part of the school district but have influence and would like to help influence it, and just being able to have better intel and then better strategy. I shouldn't say better, more focused strategy, but then help me to do some of the stuff that I can do, and I know help some of the other parents too as well. And I think it's empowering them to show our kids, right? Like kids and parents got up there and argued their butts off and were passionate and they were like getting outraged, but all that outrage gets dissipated when then they all vote, no, we didn't listen to you anyway, right? We were just letting you do your thing for 3 hours, but we were going to vote no against you anyway. And then that's, I feel like it's an injustice to the kids and to the parents who have put all that passion into it. Instead of saying, your energy matters, how can we channel that energy into something that's going to actually achieve the goals that parents want, even if it's a smaller goal initially in order to achieve bigger ones. So all that in a nutshell is just to say it would help me both to be informed better so I know what to do and how I can better participate, but also, and I know that costs money sometimes to hire organizers or to like get involved with folks, but I mean, exploring what that might look like as well. I know, so parents' voices can be amplified and have an impact.
So I appreciate that, thank you so much, and I don't want to deter away from any of the great responses we're getting. I do just want to bring us back to the focus of what we're actually asking you all for. This is the first time many of you are convening together. What Shauna said was, what are the next steps? And there's definitely going to be a conversation for that. That will be at the end of this, kind of maybe hashing that out if we have time. But if not, there will be another meeting if that is something that you're interested in. So like those ideas are for that sort of meeting. For this one, we're going to just focus back on what the demand is from the teachers. So I'm just going to straight us back to that.
So there are, we mentioned a couple earlier, there are groups that are designed to get the parents involved with the teachers. The school-based planning teams, often there's contentious relationships in those meetings. So parents' demands are fought back against the teachers. The administration doesn't want to work with those. ideas either. So it's sort of in these environments where there is this power sharing dynamic and letting the parents have the voice, we need to work with the teachers to have that be a forward-moving organization rather than something that gets stymied by just some infighting on when we're going to meet.
One thing that might, is an idea, is the buildings could have like focus group, like invite parents to be in focus groups, so they can get, and they can ask them really pointed questions to get what their experience is, you know, to get, just to gather data and information from that.
Kind of piggyback on what you said, and maybe I'm just repeating what some people said earlier too, but personally I think that as much as we all have these groups already in place in our buildings, there's a reason why we're all sitting here together today. They're not proving to be effective for us. We need something that is separate from the district, so parents that work in the district and have other ties to the district can still come and be included and not have it be a threat to their job. I think we need to create something new, something outside of the district's ruling, I don't know, does that make sense?
With parents and teachers?
Yes.
So I'm really wondering.
Could you say your name?
My name is Riley Hurst, community activist. How it's possible to really see parent-teacher how it looks like together if we don't know what parents' platform is to see where there's commonality so that they can actually be working together.
I'm sorry, Riley. I heard that, but I didn't write it down. I was thinking about something else.
I think that it's hard to create a parent-teacher power share if the parents' platform, what is actually wanted to go forward, isn't laid out so that people know where the commonality is between parents and teachers and where that work should happen.
And that's kind of what these meetings are for, to lay that out, correct? Am I tripping? Okay.
My name is Kyle Gross. I'm a teacher and a Rochester City School graduate, and I live in the city of Rochester. I teach at 52 school. So we started this teacher, paraprofessional, and teacher's assistant caucus. If you guys haven't heard about it yet, I would really love for anybody to join that isn't in that group. Our basic, and we're 2 weeks young, so we don't have a lot that we know we believe in as a whole, but our common theme that we want to take forward as an anti-racist platform to kind of transform our unions from this like top-down leadership that we know hasn't represented our district to kind of an inside-out, bottom-up, grassroots, anti-racist coalition of teachers, paraprofessionals, and teachers' assistants who can really represent the desires of all of us together, because I think you'll find that there's a large coalition of teachers, TAs, paras that don't like what we see. We don't like what we are, made to do sometimes, and we want to change that narrative. And I love that what you're doing here is outside of that district paradigm, because the power dynamic shifts when you have the district there. Because then the district people look to the district. They want leadership from someone, and so you're looking to that outside body to say, well, this is already what we're doing. If you guys are all here together and we're all here together, we're all considered equal, our voices are equal, our experiences are equal, and we're not going to look to that outside person to say, this is what's best for us. So I think this is awesome, and I just wanted to give that perspective of like what we're working on right now.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Barb Van Kerkhove. I'm a parent of a RCSD graduate and part of the Community Task Force on School Climate. I know this might be really sort of like pie in the sky, but you were saying what should power with teachers look like? So for me, I think the first steps we need to do to start building that power is we need to build trust between all of the different constituencies, because I see a lot of fear and not being really honest with each other about what's happening or what you're feeling, or maybe even taking ownership of how, we haven't done what we should be doing, whatever, on any group. So I think it's really important to build trust through transparency and honest dialogue. And another way to start building trust, I think, would be, instead of going as a parent group and thinking about what we want is to work together and build that vision together rather than separately first. I think it would be better to do it collaboratively than separately.
Good morning, I'm Kirsten, I'm a Warren parent at School 12, school-based planning. School-based planning team, sorry, there's a meeting next week. And I think what our parent-teacher relationships look like in different schools might differ. So I think coming together with these ideas of teachers and parents getting together might just look a little different. I know that in my school in particular, being on the school-based planning team, we haven't always worked well with the teachers. We haven't always had the same goals. So even sitting in those meetings, trying to come together for the good of our kids hasn't always come out to great outcomes. It's gotten better with new school leadership, I think, but I think we really need to figure out within our school communities what that relationship looks like and build that trust, both between teachers and students. I don't think, I will say personally from my perspective, there really wasn't that trust. And for instance, when this, the budget just happened, all of a sudden, parents are supposed to get behind teachers. But when I need school-based planning team to be a little bit later so more parents can participate, teachers are saying no. They're not gonna help any parents out and so I'm just like, okay, we'll just hop on the bus, we'll get behind you, but what next? Like, are we BFFs now? Like, are we cool? Can I ask you for something? And I don't know how we do that, but really examine what do the relationships between teachers and parents look like at school. So we just who we all come together and, because it's still gonna be tense.
And how do we build it up? Because in my school, we're 99% transportation too. So that means the parents are living far away, so when they do have these meetings, they can't come in.
Right.
They don't have to, I've stayed after school to watch your children and nobody's shown up because we can't send a bus to them to come get them.
My name is Megan Reddington. I'm a parent and a teacher at School 58. I think this is an opportunity to really build power between parents and teachers. I think we should be holding the district accountable, and I think that's what we can all get behind, is there's been a level of dysfunction, whether it's with the Board of Education, the superintendent, central office. I think that we could build power together by really understanding how we're going to navigate the district. I find that parents are so frustrated because they don't know when to go to the teacher, the principal, the board member, the superintendent, like which issue, which problem, and which level of power you go to. So I think we need to understand the structures of the district, and that's something that I know teachers feel frustrated about too. They don't know who to go to, and I think parents don't know how to go to, and I think the district at the top is taking advantage of that and exploiting that. And that if we could do that together, teachers and parents, and demand an understanding of what do board members do? Who mismanaged our district? Like if we can build that together at this point, I think that would be really powerful moving forward. And then all of us, hopefully just the CO would say, okay, we are being held accountable. So we have to communicate. We have to be responsible for our job, our roles. So I think really focusing on that, I think teachers and parents can get behind that, and hopefully then the relationships are very, genuine as we move forward together.
So I just had one thought. My name's Jessica. I have two kids, both one at 45 and one at 29. When we were talking about focus groups in different schools, since we moved to Rochester, my kids have been at 4 schools. No choice of mine. I don't know if that's just like a special education thing, but like literally my son was going to 15 until August 21st. So part of the problems with the school focused, or even like the special education council, which always meets on Monday nights, which is when we always have feeding TV. The problem with that is that you can't access parents in a district with school choice, in a district where this classroom is at this school, okay, now it's at this school, now your child has a different need, which means they're at this school. It makes it really hard for parents to get involved in the schools because
one of my sons has been at 29 now for several years, but Bryson has been in a different school every single year with no choice of mine. So it's hard to get involved. I know 45 has really active parents, but I honestly did not know. I didn't know what time that school ended the first day of school this year. So a lot of them did 3 and 2. So. Which is why I like coming here, because I think that will allow us to get involved and stay, like, you know, next year when we're at a different school, we'll still be there.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Russell Nordquist. I'm a student at East High. My wife works in the district as well. And something that, and I've been to student marches, the parent marches, I've been to or watched most of the board meetings, and something that I think about every time is that this room doesn't represent our district.
I was going to find a way to say that.
What really reinforced that for me too is when we went to the parent march, my son said, "Why are they all white?" Because he's the minority, and but at the student march that was balanced. And I don't know what to do about, I don't know what the answer is to this, but I think about it all the time, because I know I'm not representative. I know I may have the ability to have a voice, but I don't know what to voice that is actually truly representative, because my story is very different. I'm not a lifelong Rochesterian. I have a very different story. So I think in anything we do here, what we need to think about, what can we do to draw in a more representative voice, and if we don't at least draw in input, whether we have to mobilize closer to the schools, I don't know what it is, but I think it's something that it's going to be very difficult to it can't be a unified movement if we're missing about 70% of the parents.
Yes.
I was about to say pretty much the exact same thing. And so I think getting this to be more representative sample, and I'm sorry, I'm Tim Hartman. My son goes to school number 35, and I really like the union idea too, of separating and focusing. And I also curious as to the history between the teachers and the parents, going back. Is this a chronic problem? Are some of these things really firmly entrenched positions, or has there been some variety there? I'm just curious too how that works. But
Mary, did you want to address?
The attempt here was to do better than a few parents in a room who were asked, to offer ideas about reciprocity. And so I think that we have to redouble our efforts and, continue to build. And I know, we had talked about at the end of today, inviting, if there's a core of volunteers who want to work on the idea of building parent organization. That's not the purpose at all today. We don't have time to do that. But to start brainstorming, and I'm hearing a desire from people here that it is a good idea to build something that's a parent union type concept. So I don't have an answer. In terms of parent and student parent teacher relationships historically, yes, there's huge conflict. And we've been engaged in the schools. Ricardo goes in, he's been a volunteer since pre-K and has done a lot in terms of building trust, I think, and modeling it. But, not everyone works night shift and can go in and be there in the day and start to do that kind of work.
Also, I know a lot of my friends who live in the city, they also work for the district, TAs and paras. They're afraid of repercussions. I've been told for the last month, don't say anything. Be quiet. Don't go to the rallies. Don't go here. Don't go there. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm done, because I am a future teacher. I just went to school, got my bachelor's. I'm working on my master's. I don't want to go to another district. This is my district. And if I don't have a voice, then I can't change anything. And they want to change stuff. They just don't feel comfortable coming and voicing their opinion because they're afraid they're going to lose their job.
And I think, I'm Rachel Dobbs. I teach at School 4 and my kids go to School 12. I think that's where our parent group would be good, that communication. We were also told, for the upsetting of the children, we'll keep a lid on it, but The parents at my school, it appeared that they were not informed about what was going on, because no one, even when a letter was sent home, kind of general, just in case you should know, nobody called in. And we don't know, can't call up and say, guess what, they're gonna lay off the second grade teacher, you better, so if there was a system of communication where the information, because also, I don't believe the union is telling us everything, I don't believe the school board is telling us everything, I don't believe the superintendent. Like, they're giving us little nuggets, and we have to we need a source where we can get it put together clearly what is really accurate.
And I mean, I really think that's why we need a group like this that is outside of the district. Like I can say at my kids' elementary school, the letters that came home were very misleading. They were very general, and it was like, well, but nothing is really final until that Friday, so nobody be sad. And then that Friday, as the kids are getting ready to go on vacation, all of a sudden it's like they're being bamboozled. And it's like, well, wait, you told us that this is probably going to change and it's going to be okay. And I feel like the district is not transparent and doesn't really, as much as they say they want parents involved, they want them involved in a certain way. And that's why we need an outside group like this to really get people together.
And in my special disability community, they think they're safe. Well, my teacher wasn't affected, but the problem is June is coming. They couldn't do anything to the special ed teacher too much because of the IEP. Once those are null and void and the teachers are done, they can start cutting.
So I want to remind us about one, like I love everybody's, input. I want to remind us about one mic because both hands have been up. So let's just, if we want to speak, just raise our hand. I know this feels like school. But I'm going to bring it right here. I'm sorry. I'm going to go with people's names.
My name's Johanna. I have 2 kids at 58 and I'm a social worker in the district. So I wanted to bring it back. What I'm hearing is that we need to have a voice. So bringing it back to as a concrete way to how to partner with teachers. I think tomorrow's meeting is really important. If parents are the facilitators of that meeting, are running that meeting with teacher as a support, so that we're the voice that is being upfront and center, and then they can support us in tomorrow's meeting.
What's tomorrow?
And then
what is tomorrow?
So my understanding was
so there were some people came in late, but when I introduced, I was saying that this meeting stemmed from a meeting last weekend in Campbell bookstore among parents, community teachers that were there having a conversation at a public event. And so the teachers caucus on Monday, and then this was called as a parent caucus. So again, focusing on how parents might be able to work with teachers in particular, but also other staff, community at large, and what are our expectations, goals, demands, what reciprocity looks like in building that power, because we do have this whole history of not having necessarily been welcomed, whether it's school-based planning team levels, district-wide, many different efforts. So that group, that community group that met as part of that public meeting is reconvening at Campbell tomorrow at 1. So the teachers are coming back and the parents are coming back and people are coming back to have a conversation about kind of reporting. Like, that's why it's so important that we get these ideas, these demands as parents, or these expectations as parents, what we really would like to bring to the table and see. And I'm just going to say, Kirsten, on her way out, she asked me to put on the list that parents and teachers should be uniting around state funding.
Hi. Don't ask me to stand up because it's not happening. It's taking me about half an hour. So I don't want to list off everything that I am, but basically I'm a teacher. Oh, sorry. My name is Maureen Duhan. Okay, I'll list it off. So I'm a teacher at School 34. I'm on my school-based planning team. I'm on my building committee. I'm also a building rep, and I am chair for RTA of the Special Education Committee. So that said, first of all, please talk to me about your special ed issues before you go. And I think part of the problem for me is parents and teachers coming together to ask for consistency when it comes to communication from central office. Because some of the stories that I heard from parents, from teachers, from students about how the notification process took place, it was crazy. Some of that was just insane. But I can speak for my school personally, I think it was done perfectly. So people have come to me and said, oh, how did your school do this? But the principals aren't being told or given a script as to what they need to do. So then we're leaving that up to their judgment, which is not always the greatest, depending on the school. So I think that that consistency needs to be across the board, and we've been seeing that for years now.
I'm almost afraid to ask this question. But why now? Why such emphasis on all of this right now, right? Our our scorecard has been what, a D, a F in this district? And I get, okay, it's the budget cuts. I totally understand that. But these issues that we're bringing up have been the issue. Our kids, have been going through this, and at the end of the day, our kids fall at the balance of these budget cuts. So why such an emphasis now, and how we're going to keep that dynamic going on a consistent basis where this energy is not just this energy for today. Yeah. This is, I want to see the same faces 3, 4, 5 years from now with progress. So what can we do different? And
so one, I'm sure that's felt maybe throughout the room and the community. I wanted to just comment about something that was said over here about getting parents of color involved. Like, this is great, but like it takes old-fashioned organizing. And I know we like to think oh, they don't care, blah, blah, blah. And as a Black woman, I want to be very clear that is not the truth.
Right.
And as parents who are now mobilizing, saying we need to do something, part of that work is getting parents of color involved. And when we think about that, we think of people that live in the most marginalized, poorest communities, don't have cars, don't have access, have 2 or 3 jobs, and what we do to get them involved. And I've been talking to tons of parents and students who haven't been in these rooms organizing about how they feel and what they think. And their responses are very different than the responses in this room. And I want to also be very clear about upholding that voice too. A lot of these students are not like, oh my God, my teachers need their jobs. A lot of these students are like, these teachers don't care about us, so why are we doing this now? That is how they feel. And as organizers, it is the responsibility to also lift up that voice, because people literally feel like that. And not just parents, but also, not just students, but also parents. So I want to just acknowledge that. I can't be in this room as a Black woman and just let this happen and not, it's been itching in my soul to say it. But also do the work it takes to get parents of color involved. And that is the question, why now? Because teachers lose their jobs, these kids can't read, write, and multiply forever. Right. And why now? So really just hold that up and figure out what our motive is to now be in this room.
Oh no, so I wanted to answer that question why now, because I know most of you have not seen me, right? Because my kids have went to 28 school and I've been PTA president at 28 school. My kids went to 52 school and I'm very active at 52 school, right? And I think it has something to do with culture, like she said. My school doesn't look like this. My school is all roses. I can text my principal right now and get whatever I need, right? Because I help her with whatever she needs. It's very reciprocal between the two. Also at 28, very reciprocal. If you need me, you got me. If I need you, I got you. But that's always been me, right? I don't know at other schools how it works. Clearly not the way that it works at my school. So that's why you haven't seen me. I've been living great over at 52 school, apparently, where I'm being treated great, and didn't even know that we had most of these issues, because any issue that I have, I can go to my principal and she helps me. Any issue that I have, I can go to my PTA president and she helps me. Anything that I need to be done for my kids is being done, right? So this issue smacked me dead in the face, just so you know. I'm from Baltimore, I'm not from here. All of my teachers were Black when I grew up, okay? I did not even notice that my kids didn't have Black teachers, I can tell you, right? Although some of my teachers have, but most of my friends that I know right now told me they didn't even have Black teachers. I find that to be insane, I'm sorry. I've never heard of any such. And maybe it's just because I'm from Baltimore. But I want to say, there is going to be a lot of negativity, right, around this whole thing. It's going to be a lot of negativity on the teachers, and it's going to be a lot of negativity on the parents. What we're doing moving forward is going to be new, right? It is going to be raw, and it is going to be some very uncomfortable conversations about some things. So I just want you guys to know that moving forward, I'm not going anywhere, right? I hope you're not going anywhere either. I'm sorry it takes a new thing to make it work, but this is going to work because we have a voice. We are strong. I feel empowered by all of you. Right? Seriously, I do. And yes, I think the culture thing, we have to change the culture. It's that simple. If you're not getting the same experience and I'm getting at 52 school, why? But I'm not uncomfortable to go to your school and ask why that is. I don't have a problem going anywhere, just so you know. I will go to 12 school and ask 12 school why they're not treating the parents at 12 school like they are at 15. I'm okay with signing up for some diversity. I'm okay for paying for things out of my own pocket. I am down to see this work, and I hope you are too. It is going to be ugly, I'm pretty sure. When it's all said and done, some of us might not like each other, right? But I hope we're all fighting towards a common goal, because when I left out, I'm also a retired police officer. So I am very fine with working with people that don't like me, as long as we keep each other alive, because that's the goal, right? I'm very fine with working with people that don't like me, right? Please come to me with whatever you don't have. But that's what this looks like. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm thinking about. There are teachers out there looking to do something different and something new. So we have to think about this as this culture is changing. There are people that are pissed off and are angry just like us. Why? Because we know now. Because the time is now. And it's going to continue to be. So if you're halfway, you don't know, you may be half on the ship, jump off now, because I'm riding it to the end. I'm telling you now. I am not backing down from this. We will get what we want, but we have to decide what it is, right? And we did meet with some elders from New York City to teach us how to organize and be better about that, because I don't want to look like a hot mess moving forward, just so you know. I know you don't want my loud mouth again representing us all the time, because I don't always say the right things, but that's where I'm looking to be on this ship with me. We're moving forward. It's moving forward with or without us, but we're going to take it in our direction, right? It's all about what we need. So we have to figure out what we need to make it happen. And I think communication is most. And like I said, it could get ugly. We might not like each other, but we're going to move forward, and we're going to be whatever the hell this thing is named. It's going to be serious. Whatever it's named, right? It don't even have to have a name. It could be the damn NA, right? But it's going to be serious. The mission will be serious regardless of what it's called. It could be acting the parents. I don't care. But the mission will be serious and strong. So yes, I mean, listen. And I'm down to work with other organizations to see what works for them, right? Because we have to have a model, right? But we have to be inclusive as well. And it seems like that's what united us right here. And this is the place where everybody has a voice, right? And that's what somebody needs. And that's where the change is happening. We can't be uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable watching my kid cry about not having a teacher, right? That made me uncomfortable. So I got smoked out of my hole. I smoked all you guys out. And let's come up with a plan to work with the teachers to kick ass together, because that's what I came for.
Yeah. Pretty much said everything. I'm Stevie. I'm the community organizer for Assistant Action in New York, and also Alliance for Quality Education. I don't have kids in the district. I have a little terror over there, which is not willing to be in school yet. But I have attended our schools, as well as my sisters, who are a lot blacker than me. And our experience in school was not a good one. We didn't have teachers who looked like us. We didn't have teachers who understood our culture. We had to prove ourselves and show them that we were interested in our education for even them to take a chance on us and give us information that they didn't make readily available to our peers. How can students walk into a school with teachers who don't look like that, who teach with teachers who don't want to share this information, like, hey, these scholarships are available, these programs are available if you make the grades. If we are not aware of the opportunities and we see ourselves in a cycle like we don't even want to be in school, what do you expect from the students? And so I think the teachers need to understand our culture. We had a lot of teachers talking down to us as if we're stupid, like, oh, you're not interested, I guess you can do this, like, but they're already too far gone, they haven't really made the grades, they're gonna have to repeat this, not really wanting to work with the students and their parents. My sisters went to Charlotte High School. They took AP courses, but when they came to Charlotte, they put them in remedial classes for some reason. I have no idea why. And my mom had to take countless hours off of work and constantly go in and fight with the counselors and the principal and to put them into the classes that they were supposed to be in. And because they had to do all of that, they had to fight so much, they finally got what they were supposed to get. And they both graduated valedictorians from Charlotte High School before they shut that school down to turn it into what I believe a charter school for boys. I'm not sure. It's a district. It's a district school now? Yeah. They were the last graduating class and they graduated valedictorian. But that's been our experience to the point where teachers do not share information. We don't have a respectable line of communication where you would respect my culture and where we're coming from and the obstacles that we have in our way. To the point where like we don't want to talk to you, and then we don't even know what's happening in our district because there's no shared information. So it's very frustrating because we do care, but there's obstacles in our way, and we feel like there's no help for us to get there. And so that's been my frustration. So I love that there's people here in the room, but it also is very white. And you know when you call out white people, they're always like, oh, I got a black friend. So I'm sure you know black parents, have you shared this information with them? They probably haven't heard. You had access to information that they probably did not. And I'm a community organizer, but I don't know all the parents. Like, your organizers as well, it's very hard. But you guys are on the front lines. You interact with these parents, you have their numbers, you have their emails, constantly checking up on them. Hey, this is happening in our district, or this is happening in the classroom, or these are the opportunities we think your child would really benefit from. Can we please come? We don't even have to meet in the classroom. Can we meet where it's more convenient for you? And I know it's a lot of work for you guys as well, but teachers really have an impact on our students, both positively and negatively. Because for most of my high school career, I didn't want to be in my classrooms. My teachers did not respect me. I always felt like I was belittled. I would freaking call the school pretending to be my best friend's mom and get passed, and I'd hop in her truck and we just play hooky all day because I didn't want to be in those environments. And if I felt that way, I know other students feel that way.
And to bring it back to this question, I think we have a couple hands up. What should building power with teachers look like? Listening to Shauna, listening to Stevie, and even me as a black woman, when I go to the school, I'm going to get what I want, right? Because I'm speaking complete sentences, I'm going to get what I want. We're going to have a problem. Like, I'm going to make sure I get it. But for other black people who maybe don't have the time to keep taking off work to go, or do not speak in complete sentences, the patience level or the implicit bias that comes from not just teachers but also the staff at the school, like one of the ways we can build power is to be a voice. You know, if you see a parent who maybe don't talk in complete sentences and use a little emojis, which is culturally our language as well, making sure that we create space and say, no, she deserves the same respect. Because it's easy for us to go to school and get what we want, right? Because I can code switch. I can speak in complete sentences. But for people like my mom who not code switching, you're going to get what you get and not what you fit, she's not going to get the same response. So making sure that we hold space for that too. Class over here.
Two things. That comes back into something you said, Ashley, earlier, and someone said over there, just around building power. First, getting more representation here. Like, I'm understanding that's going to take a different level of building trust than what we think it is. To go build trust with those communities who historically schools are not a good place, not a safe space, not a welcoming space. So what that building trust looks like is not what's in my head as building trust, but it's work that I've never done before. So that's needed to first build power within us parents first. And then the second thing that just keeps coming up is, like, what is our fight? I'm pointing to them all because that's what Sean's. What is our fight? Like, what are our 2 to 3, bullets that are underneath? Here we are, we come up with a name for ourselves. What's our charge? I mean, Mary and a couple others mentioned, like, anti-racism. Of course, if that's not on our bullets, then what the hell are we doing? Right. Honestly. But once we know just a glimpse of who we are, then let's go find the teachers that are sick and tired of the status quo for their whole career, and they know they're not reaching students and parents. And how do we then go out there and say, join us? Because if we don't know what we're doing, we can't ask people to join us. So,
I spoke earlier, I'm Jessica Gustafson at School 15. As far as like asks of teachers, I think if we had more teachers
I know this is complicated, but if we had more teachers that lived in our community, I think this would benefit our students in many different ways, but just from relationship building with neighbors who maybe life looks different culture, and also their income stays in the community rather than going into the suburban districts. So that is sort of an important thing. And then also, as far as teachers who are tired of the union, I think figuring out how to get more teachers of color that are not going to be first fired when we have cuts, and figuring out ways to come up against, I don't know if it's LIFO, the last in, first out, in order to change, I know that's a state thing, but that seniority issue is, it's going to forever impact how many teachers of color we have.
So I keep hearing like we need to get more people involved, and that is a huge struggle at our school, at School 12. We keep trying to get more parents involved, and I don't think we know how, and we need help. I don't have the answers to that, and I know we need to do it, but I don't have concrete steps that I can take to make that happen. So there needs to be, if we can come up and someone else here knows how to make that happen, please help us. So I guess that's an ask for how we build power here.
Organize a training.
Are we going to get into how to help at the end? Because I can wait for that. Yeah. Okay, I'll wait. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, just to get back on that, I'm Bridget, student 15. I think it's been difficult too, and I'm sure at the very beginning of this, it was like, oh gosh, this is happening. How do we reach out? You know, I know Kristen from 58, and so I connected with her, but like, how do we connect with all the schools together so that our voices are elevated? And you know, Kristen busted her ass to like try to connect with the parent liaison from all the schools, and that was very futile, I think. We didn't get like a ton of stuff that way, and it's so, I know we can't rely on the district to do that, but finding a way to like get anchor points at all the schools so that everyone is represented.
So we have a little over 30. We have a little bit over 30 minutes, and we want to get into how do we change what we don't like, but I want to maybe reserve 10 minutes at the end to really talk about how do you get parents of color involved in this, because this is great, but honestly, to me, this is good. Like if you guys form this and then you go out and try, like all of the black parents are going to be like, oh, that's for white people. Right. Like, oh, that don't have nothing to do with us. Right. So I think you're going to be more effective by really grassroots organizing now to get more parents involved, get this group diversified, and then figure out how to work with the teachers. But
and I don't know where this is going to fit in, but I have to say this. The why now, the level of dysfunction right now, I just want to let parents know, because if you don't know this, we have classrooms that do not have assignments for Monday. The level of dysfunction on Monday at our schools is extremely concerning. And some of our schools is going to be really concerning for our, it's dangerous for our students. So I just have to throw that in there, that like this is happening while we're sitting here.
Let's go to Mary.
I just want to counter, I hear you, and the level of inadequacy and the experiences that Stevie described have been ongoing for decades. And so, we have to honor that. Like, it's a different dysfunction and a different like level of analysis. So I just want to honor and hear Brad's experience.
I just want to say I totally agree. It's very frustrating that we haven't had more involvement up until now, but at least personally, I think we have to stop asking people why now. I think it pushes people out. I think people feel intimidated, and when people say, well, where the hell have you been? People want to go, well, I'm out of here then. You know, if you're going to be critical of where I've been or why I haven't been here before, then I don't want to be involved. We're all here now. We all want the same thing. It's amazing to all be in this room. Let's get more people, and let's just work on that.
I'm not going to say anything else, but I need to say this here. Because from what my experiences are, why not now? Why not now? We need this. And why the people of color ain't in here is a whole lot of reasons we not here. But until we get here, I need y'all to keep coming out. I need y'all to keep coming out, representing, bring our issues up. For real. We cannot keep looking back. Why not now? Is what I'm saying. Why not now? Let's do that.
I'm just making a suggestion that why don't we stay on this topic of, because why talk about what we don't like when we're all in agreement that we need to have a more representative parent group. So I'm wondering if we just want to talk about how, like your strategies for how to include it, and then move to that question last, so that we actually address what everybody's talking about.
I have an idea about how to get parents. I don't know if it's gonna work. Besides me, like grabbing every black parent.
Before you go, I want to respect the meeting first. Before you go, I like that idea, but I want to respect the meeting. Does everybody agree with that? Does Mary agree with that? Does Sean agree with that? Like, do you want to build on that, Rosen? Okay. All right.
Can everybody hear me? Hi. So I do feel like that one person, that one black parent is trying to get all the black parents, like all 600 of them by myself. But one thing I feel like needs to happen is we need to go into places where people of color do feel safe. One place I was thinking is the church, and really galvanizing pastors, church leaders to really unite with us. They're in our neighborhoods. They have a school that's down the street from them, and really plead with them and say, help me to get your parents who are coming here on Sunday, who will listen to everything that you say, whether it's the truth or not. And I just feel like we need to really get some religious leaders of color. Also, we need to think about our Latinx community, which is, growing, which, I mean, is another issue. But I feel like one idea might be really getting to houses of worship, or getting them to us somehow, but using religious houses.
So I'm Natalie. I'm one of the commissioners on the school board. And first of all, I just want to thank everybody for always rawly telling us your stories, because that is what helps shape. I know my advocacy, I know Ricardo's advocacy as well, is just hearing exactly what's happened. I've gone back and forth with many people in this room about different things, and it always helps guide. So the second thing I want to say is Buffalo has a chapter. During my daytime job, I'm in juvenile justice, and Buffalo has a chapter that's called Most Valuable Parents, MVP. And that group has organized around the ills that are happening within the Buffalo City School District. Even though they're on the up and up and they're improving, parents still felt it was necessary for them to galvanize and create their own, I won't call it a parent union, but that's literally how it operates. And some of the things that they do with that, and I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds of parents, is that first of all, they get phone numbers. And so we think of engagement as having this conversation because we follow things, we understand things differently. When you're sending out a text that asks a question about a survey, it's so simple to say yes or no and respond that way. And of course they have money behind that. That's one thing. The other thing that they do is they have a website. It tells all the points that this group does, and this is how people have galvanized around it. So the grassroots organizing is what is going to be important in regards to bringing everybody to at least pay attention when you get a text alert, or to at least pay attention when you're at the places where we know you visit, so that you understand what it is that's coming to your phone. And they make it so plain, and not to disrespect anybody's level of intellect, but they make it so plain that your child can say yes or no, I agree. And that is how they build consensus without people having to even leave their home or leave jobs. And I think that is one of the most creative ways is to use technology as one way, where they have been able to get a lot of voices. And whatever comes out of this meeting and future meetings, I'm always available, and I can help set up a meeting with the leaders from the Buffalo MVP, so you can kind of hear straight from their mouths how they were able to get it up off the ground. One last thing I'll say about them, which is what really caught my eye when I was talking to the gentleman that I know, is that they also have influenced their local elected officials, not just in the school district. So anytime that something happens and they need support from any other level of government, they go straight to that person. And they have built those connections where that person will feel pressure that even though I'm not in the school district, I'm calling my contacts to let you know, like, listen, you're gonna have to do what this group wants. And there's other things that go along with that, but I'm just telling the logistics of how they've been able to really mobilize and stay stay intact and feel like their voices are heard. Because if we don't get it from a school board meeting, we'll go right over to city council. We'll go right here, right? And so I can set that up for you all after you figure out what the next steps are, and we can come back and join together. This is your meeting. I'm only here to listen and offer some suggestions. And so I'll be here as many times as you guys need me to be here. But I am taking notes as well, and I'm taking back some of the concerns that you guys have to see if there are other solutions that can happen in the immediate time. So thank you, and I can set that up. Just let me know afterwards.
One thing I just want to make sure that we do, because there are two different sets of tones here that we're using. One of them, people have lived experiences here of all the issues that we've talked about that some of us may never have experienced ourselves. So I want to understand that as we're talking about these conversations, these can further traumatize people if we don't choose to understand that if we ourselves have not experienced them. So I'm standing here and I'm listening, and I really need to make sure that we understand and we resonate with everyone else who's already shared those experiences. I know there's that question around why now. I do also understand that each of you here did not come here because of a systemic issue. You came here because something personal happened to you. So you need to understand also what didn't actually get you here as well. So if it's in this moment, that's wonderful, and I'm not discouraging you from attending further meetings or whatever it is, but to truly understand both personally and systemically what it is that you have a part to play in this conversation today. So I just want to recognize that so we're not further traumatizing anybody who's already sharing their experiences, and to also take the moment to resonate with all those experiences that we've had the privilege to hear. So I just want to make sure that that's understood. Thanks.
And how do we organize parents? So as an organizer, I think I've been organizing for like 10 years. And I will say education seems to be one of the hardest things to organize around. But in anything that you organize around, people can't show up to school board meetings, show up to city council meetings, show up for lobby days or rallies if they don't know what they're going to eat tonight. If they don't know if the RBA is going to be cut off. We have like 25,000 students in the city school district living below the poverty line. That means they're coming home not knowing if their gas and electric is going to be on, not knowing if a parent is going to be home, not knowing if they're going to have food to eat or clean clothes to wear tomorrow. I think what we did when we organized around bail reform is we went into communities and we asked people of color, what's the most important issues to you? Because in the most marginalized communities, people already feel like they're not heard and it doesn't matter. I sat in a school board meeting the other night to see Ricardo get sworn in, and had I not been into politics, not been an organizer, I would have never went back to a school board meeting, ever. Because it was just so disheartening and so discouraging. And then you see all those students get up and cry and advocate and whatever, and then people still do what they want to. And then these marginalized communities still feeling like it doesn't matter what we do. So I think part of that is really, one, I like what Natalie said about text messages and using technology, but really going into those neighborhoods and not telling people, come join me. Really going into those neighborhoods saying, what can I do to assist you? How can I help you? What is the most important thing to you? And what you will find is housing, hunger. I sat down with some students this weekend and I was asking them, how do you feel about your teachers being fired? What's most important to you? What are you concerned about? And they said things like having a washer and dryer at school. Maybe we can bring a bag of groceries home from school. So like really having those conversations and seeing what's most important. And we know what the bottom line is. We know what the biggest issues are in the school board, but people who don't know what they're going to eat tonight don't know that. And it doesn't mean they don't care about their kids. I took my niece in for a year and a half, and I was like her legal guardian. My sister had never been to the school for a parent-teacher conference for her, right? The teachers told my niece to drop out of school, literally. And when I showed up, they were like stunned that somebody showed up. But I showed up to a parent-teacher conference, and guess what? No students were there, no teachers were there, no principal was there. It was me and my niece walking in the hallway. No teachers at any class. So really having those conversations and getting parents more involved, even if that is like, I understood that parents didn't show up to a teachers didn't show up because they felt like, why are we gonna stay after nobody's gonna come? But you don't know. So I showed up. And nobody had ever showed up for my niece before me. So really tapping into those communities and figuring out what is most important to you, and then how can we connect you to a resource that meets that need. How can parents don't come to parent-teacher conference? A lot of them don't have cars. How can we get ride share or something going so that people can get there? Or most parents are working 2 or 3 jobs. So how can we get somebody to show up for you and give you a report back? But really going that extra mile so that parents know. Most parents think that teachers are just judging us. Oh, we don't care about our students. Oh, I didn't pick up the phone. Or a lot of teachers call and that phone is disconnected. And they're just like, oh, the phone is disconnected again, never understanding why. So really tapping into that and having those conversations and getting to know people. When I organized around bail reform, I went to people's houses and I said, can I set up a time to get to know your story? Now, it's not much I can do with their story, but I want to know. I want to be able to empathize and just really doing that extra work. And it's a lot of work. But if you want to organize and create a movement of power, that's what it's going to take.
The Teacher Caucus in Chicago, one of their strike platforms was fair housing for their students. So that's like the possibility that we can have right now. And it's so exciting to know that like with that collective action of all of us together, like let's pick those issues. Who are the workers in our city that are not represented by a union? Let's join with them. Let's join with Fight for 15 and all of the service workers. Let's make it broad so we can fit, I get so excited, so we can fit everybody under the umbrella. Right? Because it's not fair that we have teachers who make a living wage, but all of our kids' parents don't make a living wage. Let's do that together. Like that's the kind of vision that I want to have for this. Because if we don't do that, we're never going to get community buy-in. Why do I care that you have a job teacher if like my parents don't have a living wage and I don't have a home that's safe?
I think one of the things I think the why now question, right, which is helpful just from my perspective as a white parent who has the privilege not to care about this stuff all the time. A lot of us have been fighting for, at least as being a teacher's spouse, like every single day I'm supporting her and supporting her students, and it's like, you know, you're exhausted. That work is ongoing, but it's not ongoing perhaps in the same way as other folks. But I think one of the reasons this issue galvanizes is like, heck yeah, there's something we can actually do. Here's the place we can show up. Like this meeting matters. Like this particular problem has emerged at this time, which is not to say it hasn't been going on. Like 100% not trying to undermine that or discredit it. But I think that's why having a clear sense of those asks from people so that it's like, here's where you can show up. It's not to say make it simple for my convenience, but it's make it simple so that with all the other crap going on, I think people saw this as a very clear injustice that like spoke to so many different people across lines because it was less complicated than say systemic racism or redlining and all that other stuff which we don't really have an impact on. So I'm really thankful for organizers and for people who do make those, who bring that clarity to the conversation so that we can galvanize that action. But I think it's sad that it takes that, and I love what Ricardo said, like why not now? Like make this our starting point. But it's helpful because I've wanted to get more systemically involved in like education stuff through ROC-Acts and other things. I've gone to some of my friends who are clergy who have access to City Hall and other places and say, how can we make this a priority? And they literally laugh in our faces and say, like, it's an impossible thing. There's so many different interest groups. There's so much political stuff involved. It's impossible to fix systemic poverty, which is the real thing behind school district stuff. And it's like, even the leaders just think it's a hopeless thing, and they laugh in the face of people who think that we can do it. So being like, no, we can start to do this is really, it's inspiring. But I think very few people think there's something we can do. So even just being able to empower teachers and parents to say, here's where you can make an impact. Like, here's a meeting, show up. Like, these things do matter is really helpful.
I would love to see, maybe for your next meeting, maybe like someone set up a phone bank where you're calling parents, and then you guys set up, like, I can give you and your kids a ride. Like, everyone in this room who has a car should be able to give a ride to a student and parent who probably doesn't have a car to get them to that next meeting. And maybe we can, like, order lunch, because everybody comes for free food. At least I do. I'm always like, is there food? I'll be there. So like, maybe, like, thinking things like that to get people more involved,
I know that like before this meeting, I just went on Class Dojo to both my son's classes, and just because as a parent, like the teachers can't be like, so, and I didn't get much response when I invited everyone to the meeting, but then when I asked another question, which is, okay, if you can't come to the meeting, what would you like me to bring? And so 2 different autism classrooms, and everybody said transportation, like immediately, so it's like, so there's also that, like if there are people who can't come and can't make it, but we can still reach out. So I mean, I like the idea of a food bank for that reason.
Yeah, food.
Usually the two biggest needs for parents are transportation and childcare.
Right.
Those are usually the two biggest things for parents are doing involved. Just like Ashley was saying, when we go out and organize in the community, we're always asking like, what are your priorities? What are your concerns? And you build that relationship, and that's what people need to do. And I want to know, because from my experience, I've never had a teacher ask me or ask my mom, what do you need?
Yeah.
And you will get very, very far by asking the parent, what do you need? And you gotta listen to that and see what can be done. If you can't do it, maybe you can connect them to someone who can help them. But asking the parent, what are your needs, will let you know what obstacles are in their way and keeping them from attending more meetings and being more involved. And that will honestly build trust. Because if you're constantly asking like what they can do for you as opposed to what their needs are and what you can do for them, it's going to be a one-way street. It's a two-way street. And teachers need to start asking parents and students, what do you need?
So here's the thing, if we want the parents to have the information, we can get it to them there, right? As to not everybody's gonna be able to make it. I get that, right? I'm on every end of the spectrum of parent, grandparent, working, switching shifts, you name it, I've done it. I've been able to go to every meeting and not one meeting in the same year, right? So I know all about that. But the point is to get the parents the information and to get them on board. So I'm down to do videos. Like, we can do a video. Here's the thing, if we need them, we need parents to sign emails for us, to do something for, it's really easy for me to say a video saying, hey parents, this is what I need from you, step by step, what I need from you, right? And then afterwards, can you comment below if you did it, or if you have any questions, can you comment below and get information to parents there, because that's maybe how we're gonna get them in the door. We have to get to them somehow, other than my face saying, hey, come over here. Well, I don't have enough cousins. Apparently.
Okay, so we have like, I saw 4 hands up. We need to move on, so quick. I'm going to go from here, Natalie.
I'm Jen Moore. I have kids at 58 and at Soda, and I work at School 12. I love the video idea because I think it's very universal, but the problem is we have such a multilingual district. I want to make sure that when we consider this, we look at what like can be translated easily, like social media can translate, because our like School 12 is such a bilingual school. It's such a huge issue. Like, I long-termed in a bilingual room and everyone was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I got 9 years of Spanish, we'll manage. And I was talking with parents and they were like, we even have a long-term sub that is working on communicating, and that's such a huge issue. And now they see me and the kids see me, and it's hugs every day, even though they lost their teacher. It's like, are you going to be here on Monday when we come back? So, you know, parents are contacting, but I think that's something we need to keep in mind. And it's not just Spanish, but we have Nepalese, we have Middle Eastern languages, all over.
Okay, so again, we got to transition, so really, parents.
Hi, I'm Pam Adams. I work at Refugees, helping refugees, and I just wanted to bring up a similar point about being aware of the needs of parents who are immigrants or refugees. And in addition to the language barrier, cultural differences, education is a different thing in many countries, and I know a lot of our families, they assume teachers are basically a second parent. You turn your kids over to the school, you trust the teachers completely to handle it, and you're not really involved. And so just to think about ways to reach out to parents from other countries.
And the last one.
Yeah, so I think the way I get a hold of other parents is through my son. Especially if you have middle and high schoolers, you want to get a hold of somebody else's parents. I ask him to text his friend to get that parent to contact me, like if they want to go do something. And I think if you want to get a video out to parents, we've mobilized youth. Send it to the youth and tell them to show their parents, because it's really hard to make a database of phone numbers when phone numbers change. It's really hard to get their attention. Their kids will get their attention. That's been my experience. So I think we've had mobilized youth. It might be time to, if you want to start reaching parents, get the youth to ask their parents to be involved, because their parents do care. And if their kid cares, they're going to care more.
Right. That made me remember what I was going to say. I'm sorry. So as a teacher, the quickest way that I get my information out to parents to get participation is through Dojo. Class Dojo, and I know a lot of schools do use that. So I know that if this group came together with some kind of a statement or something for me as a teacher, and it was given to me, I would be glad to then disseminate that to the parents.
So now we're going to go into a list of volunteers who want to help organize parents.
With an emphasis on really trying to organize parents of color, black parents.
Yeah. And when we say parents of color, so of course as a black woman, my first thought is black parents. But when I say of color, I'm really thinking anybody, I don't want to say anybody that's not white, but anybody that's not white but white folks too. So everyone, and the immigrant community, Latinx, I don't want to say it correctly, Latinx, okay. Just really making this real more diverse. So maybe we're going to start with a list of folks who want to volunteer to really do that. And I'm willing on my extra time to come to those meetings to really organize one-on-one.
And also keeping in mind, I think Natalie's offer to do the intro with the Buffalo folks, right? That's
on the Buffalo people.
That could be a nice
I can see 8 and I don't have a minivan.
And I can see if they would be willing to come here too.
So is anybody in agreement that maybe we should figure out Buffalo before we go meet again? And plus, I know everybody doesn't want to meet all the time, right? Nobody wants to be a part of a meeting, an organization that meets all the time. Because I know you guys don't have a lot of time, so I don't want to lose your interest.
We do separate type of meetings. We don't just physically meet. We do Zoom conferencing because part of that's free. We utilize MailChimp. We go into the Facebook groups and talk there. I see some of that already going up. So for our group, we is way more, the comfort of your home, having those conversations. And then it's not just big group meetings. There's small group, little committee meetings. So I'll be more than happy to help with that, to volunteer and do that. Zyra. Zayra.
Are we asking them to come here, or are we going there? But I would say more acceptable if they come here.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll check, and then I'll see if not, if they can't get a lot of people to come to Rochester, that at least they have some leadership and some of the core people that can come and explain what their organization does and how they operate, and I think that might be sufficient too, if they're able to come here.
5 or 6 parents in the room, 5 or 6 parents of kids in the city school district who are willing to volunteer to be part of a group that will reflect back to everyone and everyone else that you can get a hold of to start proposing some of those logistic things instead of trying to hash them out now. I mean, it's great ideas and we should, put them on the table. But let's get 5 or 6 parents, family members of city school district kids who are willing to be part of that logistics planning and proposal group to take the next step.
When we had our meeting with the teachers, the organizer we worked with suggested just every person at the meeting call 10 people, and all you need to do is say, this is what we talked about. Are you on board? Does this sound like something you want to be a part of? Can I get your email? And so if everybody calls 10 people, then you already have a bigger network. And it doesn't solidify anything, but at least you're starting to get contacts and you can get information out to people. We're also working on a petition with that teacher group, that caucus that we started. I would love to see some version of that come directly from parents. And I already shared it with Sean, so she can help out to get that out. And the other thing that I made was a Google form, just asking people, what do you want to happen? That's it. And you can text it, you can do it on your phone, and you can do it in your email, and that's another option. Since, maybe people can get out, you can meet them that way as well.
Yes, I just want to make a few announcements because I have to run to another meeting. So Citizen Action really works on education and and we're not advocates, we're organizers, so we have resources and we urge parents, teachers, and students to utilize our resources. So if you guys want to set up a phone bank, we have the capabilities to do that quite easily. Let us know what you want to be said. We can send a script and create a virtual phone link or web link that you can use to make calls.
And we do it that way because not everyone can come to our office, so it allows people to do it from the comfort of their home, especially if they have children. So that's one thing. So if you guys have actions that you want but need help doing it, we have resources. I'm sure like has them as well. So there are many organizations with resources that can be utilized, and they're more than willing to help you guys do it. We're also going to Albany on the 14th. We have a bus. We're going to be advocating that they fulfill the foundation aid. I know the students organize and have obtained a bus as well. So if anyone wants to come who is interested, we're making it a Rochester Day of Action. We want parents speaking. We want those who are impacted to be the main people speaking. So teachers as well. And AQE, so Alliance for Quality Education, reserved the well for us, which seats about 200 people. And so while there's a full program going on there, parents and students will be on the second floor talking to our electeds and urging them to get on board with fulfilling the foundation aid because the state owes our district alone $86 million. And if they would have fulfilled the foundation aid to begin with, we wouldn't be in a deficit. So that's something to think about, especially since there might be another round of cuts coming in June. So they're more than able, and Cuomo has been the strongest person against fulfilling the foundation aid. He doesn't think it's his responsibility to fulfill it, which is ridiculous. So it's unfortunate that it takes a crisis to mobilize people, because this is something that has been an issue for years. But sometimes that's what it takes. So if anyone wants to get on the bus, we're providing transportation, we're providing food, and we're doing the agenda. And for teachers who want to bring students, we're also trying to create a curriculum to make it a learning day for our students, since we really don't have civic engagement courses anymore. It'd be a really great way for these students to learn how state politics works and what it looks like to speak to your electeds to get stuff. So that's all. Love you guys.
So like planning the logistics for the next parent meeting. So Syra offered to be part of that. We know Sean will be leading the effort. But who else? Maybe 4 or 5 other people who'd like to be responsible for getting their heads together, thinking about the next meeting of, call out for parents and families. What the logistics might look like, coordinating with Natalie, around meeting with the Buffalo people. So the nuts and bolts logistics to fulfill what we heard people around the room say, that there is a desire for some kind of independent district-wide parent coordination. So,
I just wanted to say something to everybody in the room too. So I have also been one of the critics that talks about why now. And my frustration is that I don't want anybody in this room to feel like because you're here now and someone's asking you why now, that means leave. It is just another frustration that is had. But I do realize that people pay attention in different ways. And I want to emphasize the importance of what this group is attempting to do, is that a lot of our parents in our city, they care. They pay attention to what's going on. They have opinions, and it's not until something happens that people need to understand the power in numbers. And when I first started in my career as a social worker, I worked at Strong, and there's a union at Strong, and they were working on doing a strike, and I'm just like, why? Like, just go off and do what we need to do, right? Like, why do I need to come outside with you all? And it was in that moment that I had learned that my actual body being with a group of people was what was most important. And I think if we keep our efforts focused on that, is that it may seem intimidating, it may seem like a lot of information for people to take in. You may not agree with every single thing that happens, but you do agree that we need to do something and nothing is not an option. And so as we organize around this, I just want to encourage people that you don't have to know everything. You just have to know that if a person agrees with the end goal, that our purpose is your body has to be next to my body. And so when we go there, I know me and Mr. Adams have gone back and forth. and I can say this too just as a real life example. I always be transparent about where I stand on things. And I'm saying this because when we first initially started talking about this, I was one of those people, well, I probably was the only one, and then Mr. Adams jumped in. And I said, doing a 5% cut is not enough. I said, we need to do 18%, right? And I know everybody like, oh, she needs to go, like, never vote for her again. But it's only because I realized that even though we understand that even 100, even 20, you know, being displaced in the middle of the year and the ripple effect that has on us because we're here on the ground, we know that's devastating. But I've been in this politics game for only 2 years, and I have learned in that short amount of time that they don't care. Like it's not enough people. The example that I use is a penny on the ground. You know, it has value, right? But you walk past it, if you see a $100 bill on the ground, then okay, like, oh, it's going to be a crisis, right? And so these are the kind, and I know people call them guerrilla tactics, but these are the kinds of things that go through my mind when I'm putting stuff out there, is because people don't like to move until they're uncomfortable. And I'm okay with making somebody feel uncomfortable because at the end of the day, we see what these mid-year cuts have had. I can't say that there won't be cuts in the future. I can't say that there will be. But what I will say is that we don't want to be here in June and we don't want to be here next January. And so we do have an opportunity right now because we're in January and the session is starting in the state. And Cuomo said, when we told him we're in a crisis here in Rochester, he can come here in Rochester when he needs our votes, right? Because we're important that way. But then when we're going through something, he literally said that he is not taking a look at anything until after the holidays. And so these are the kinds of things that I want people to understand when it comes to politics. Not to say that people are bad people, you can form your own opinion, but really understanding that bodies and there's power in numbers and how to get somebody's attention, because the narrative that, oh, our kids need is important to us, it hasn't motivated anybody to do what we need them to do. And so I just want people to be encouraged that you don't have to know everything and you don't have to be an expert in anything. All we need is to keep focused on the fact that we need bodies and we need 1 or 2 or 3 goals.
I'm going to ask again one last time for any additional volunteers.
Tim Hartman.
Russell Northwest.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Russell.
Emily.
I think that's good. Okay, so
volunteer or do these other action suggestions. Let's just keep it simple. Get one other parent, a parent of color, and bring them with you. Just one. Just one, and it would change this room so much. Just one parent. Don't even think about trying to get all the school and all that. One parent. Bring one parent with you to the next. That's it.
Thanks. Or parent adjacent. I'm a parent adjacent. All my nieces.
Maybe a quick question before we leave. Can someone tell me what meetings are real and what's happening in the next week? Like, I've got so many notifications and then they get canceled and then I don't know, like, what's happening tomorrow and what's happening in the next week?
So announcements, how's that? We'll do announcements, and if I miss anything, somebody else can pipe up. So Stevie already announced January 14th. Also January 8th, I think a smaller group of us are going to go to the state of the state when Cuomo gives his state of the state in Albany. But we are interested in bringing people along. We're not sure exactly what kind of strategy we'll use in terms of visibility event. It may or may not be like a rally outside, but that's to be determined. So January 8th this week we're going to Albany, and then January 14th. That Stevie already announced. Please, if you possibly can go, it is good to have numbers for January 14th. Tomorrow afternoon, there's like a follow-up to this core of people who started talking, teachers, parents, community students. Last week at Hippocampo Bookstore, we were hosted, had a public discussion, and that kind of led to, the teachers were already planning to caucus and organize on Monday, but it really prompted the parents who were there to develop this meeting, as I explained before. So the follow-up to that, this kind of core of people who started a conversation, is tomorrow at 1 o'clock at Hippocampo Books. And then in terms of other meetings, Russell, were you talking about official meetings, board meetings?
This afternoon.
Oh, this afternoon, the student meeting.
All right. Just
Yeah.
I think a lot of people share. There's a lot of different like threads and ways to find out stuff, and I just wanted to clarify. Like, that was useful. I didn't know about the 8th date. I didn't know.